Hello everyone, welcome to the very first QWERTY live review. I'm Coach, I'm joined as always by Nick, and today we'll be reviewing Astro Duel by... I can't pronounce the name, let me try at least. Nick, while I do that, go ahead and introduce what the game is.
So Astro Duel is a indie game that's based on asteroids. The old, what was it, Atari game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an old Atari game. Um, one of the original games. Actually, I wonder, was it not the original game? Like the original
I think it
game?
could have been, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the original game, but Astro Duel kind of bases itself off of that and creates a four-player combat in three different game modes and several different maps. It has a custom audio score and was developed by all of three people. One who developed the game itself, one who did the music score, and one who made the icon for the game.
Alright, so I got it up now. It was developed by a person named Rusty Moyher. I hope I'm not butchering your name. And published by Wild Rooster. It was released on February 22nd, 2016. And let's get right into it. So, the reviews on Steam for this game have been overwhelmingly positive, which we actually found as a surprise because we both really didn't enjoy the game too much. Nick, I'll let you talk your opinions first.
So, one of my main issues with the game, and it's because it keeps popping into my head, is that this is a multiplayer game. You are not going to want to really play this game against bots because, I mean, playing against bots isn't really the fun or the whole point of the game. You can, the AI is all right, but it's not really the best fun. And when we're talking about a PC exclusive game, I find that online multiplayer is a necessity. Another thing I've found to be an issue with the game is that there wasn't a lot of content to begin with. So even if you wanted to play by yourself, you're going to finish the game in 5 minutes. You're going to have played everything there is to play, and you're going to have gotten the experience you're going to get. There's nothing else to it. Its replay value is lacking. It has achievements, but they're not worth the time.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. So, we have the footage here open from last night of me playing it. You said the AI was alright. I actually had some trouble with the AI. The very first time I played it, the day of release, the AI wasn't doing anything for me when I went into a game to where it was actually just standing still. I don't know if that was a bug or something. However, the next day I played it, it was working fine. The problem I had with it, though, was a lot of the maps have sort of traps. Some of them have lasers or turrets or black holes. And I found that a lot of times the AI just kind of blindly flies into stuff like that. And yeah, I thought that kind of... I played against the easy, well, not easy, normal mode AI. But still, I think that should be... If you were making a game with obvious traps in your maps, then you should make sure that the AI knows to avoid those things.
Right.
So as far as the level design goes, that was one of the things that I thought was pretty cool about the game. So right now, this map that we're seeing here, it has the two parts on the top and two parts on the bottom, which, as you can see, you can fly through and you end up on the other side of the map, kind of like Pac-Man. It was neat at first, but there's no tactical advantage to it, especially with bots, because the bot goes the same route every single time, which is another thing that I have a problem with the AI. You can actually like learn their pathing because they will go the same way basically every time. So while some of the maps do have neat little quirks like that, like this one right here we see has a black hole in the middle of it.
Which I
Oftentimes it's...
actually love this
Oh
map.
yeah, me too. I
Yeah.
think this was probably my favorite map, but still,
Especially the way like the bullets curve around the black hole,
yeah,
like
you see there at
because
first I almost got a really sick shot using that, but
yeah.
I thought that was a neat thing to add. Like a lot
Hmm.
of games that have things like this don't actually have that whole like
Right.
gravity affecting the bullet thing.
Bullet itself. Yeah. Um,
So this footage that we recorded here actually doesn't have music because I kind of messed up while recording it. But the music itself in the game, it's not bad, but it's not noteworthy in my opinion. What do you think?
it wasn't really memorable. Like I can't really remember much from the music. It it was it was there. It did its job in being music, and that's it. Nothing really else went with it.
So let's talk real quick about the different game modes that are available. So the first one, which we see playing here now, is called Headhunters mode, which is basically just a one-on-one deathmatch. So you can also play like 4-on-4. It's basically a free for all. Is what I'm trying to say. So basically, you and the other players or bots in our in our example, are basically just like trying to shoot each other. Which one of the problems that I encountered at first with the game is that it's not necessarily fluid as far as the controls go. I think I'm trying to say that right. Is I actually thought it was pretty hard getting the aiming down this game.
Right.
So yeah,
I was equally struggling with it. Like, and it can be argued that you'll get better at dealing with the aiming as you
hmm
play and as you kind of, you know, practice with it. But even still, it was something to be desired. And but to be fair, given the small maps, having like kind of like having the aim be that difficult can increase the length of the game.
yeah,
But
that's true. But the problem that I had with it, as someone that didn't enjoy the game, was that that just kind of further made me not want to play it more,
right,
because I
right,
already went into it not thoroughly enjoying it. So the fact that it wasn't something that I could just pick up and play just made me want to play even less, to be honest.
mhm. And it bothers me once again that this is a game that's designed to be multiplayer, but if you're going to get the most out of it, you're going to need game pads because there's no way in hell two people are going to be able to play this game effectively on a keyboard,
Yeah, it does have that
let alone
option
four
to where one of you is going to be using WASD and one using the arrow keys, but that
arrow
feels
keys.
so awkward.
It
Unless you're like
does.
in grade school and you're both 2 feet tall, like two full grown adults are never going to want to sit next to each other, both using the same
Right.
keyboard to play one game.
And I've played Flash games that tried utilizing that, and I found it to be awful.
That's what I
It
did
was
when I
just
was in fifth grade, when me and my friends used to go on like addictinggames.com
mhm.
and play games. That's what we did. But now, like, having a full gaming rig, having Steam, like, that's just. I mean, we both. I mean, even for our example, we both live in the same city. Basically, we live like
Mm.
half an hour apart, but we're both students, so we don't have like. It's much easier to be like, hey, hop on Skype, hop on the game, we'll play together, than it is
Right,
to be like, hey, come all the way over here to play a game that may or may not interest us both.
right. You'll play it for 5 minutes, then it's like, all right, so now what do we do?
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no way you're going to get that much fun out of it. Maybe, I mean, I see people talking about the game and they bring up that it's, a good party game, and that could be true, but it's only good for, serious, like, there's completely other things to do. Um,
Yeah. I also don't really agree with the whole party game thing, because when I think of party games, I instantly like think of games like Mortal Kombat or Mario
mhm,
Party even. Twitter's like
mm,
tons of characters you can choose and tons of
right.
game modes, mini games.
There's tons of content.
Yeah,
You
they're
don't,
just like with I I guess Mario Party is being brought up again. There's so much stuff, or even Mortal Kombat. Like there's like I don't know how many different fighters. There's different maps, even though they don't do anything. Everyone plays different. This game, like
mhm,
all the ships control the same. There are little power ups that you can see scattered around the map, but even those are actually, in my opinion, a lot of those were really overpowered, because the one I used just
yeah.
then was the Jouster one, which basically
Mhm.
like allows you to ram into the other ship and just insta kill. And there's also a shield which lets you get hit twice. There's a reflector. There's a scatter shot, and I think there's a laser, which I thought was terrible at aiming. I was really excited the first time I picked up the laser. I'm like, yeah, I can just like kill him across the map. But no, it's really bad at aiming. There's also a mine, which I thought was the most or missile rather, that I thought was the best one because you could just shoot it and it has a huge area of effect. And the
Right.
proximity mine was like hit or miss based on the AI. So
Right.
let's talk about the next game mode real quick, which was there's a team deathmatch, which I did play, and very confusing because there's no indication as to which ship you are at the beginning. So I went into it being used to, from the single player, always being started at the top left of the screen, and suddenly being thrown to the bottom right of the screen, and not for like taking like a few seconds to, oh, I don't know which one I am. I don't know which one a teammate is because there's no indication above the ship. Like, there's no little text or anything that says, team A or whatever, or teammate or anything. You have to find out who your partner is the hard way, basically.
Right. And on the note of you not knowing which ship you are from the beginning, you said when you were playing single player, you were generally the ship in the top left.
Yeah.
When I was playing, I actually was the ship in the bottom right most of the
Really?
time. Yeah. So I find that interesting.
Yeah, because every time, like in the video that we have playing here, this is footage I recorded last night. Every time I start, I'm at the top left, and I'm always the blue ship. So I didn't know
Right.
that could be awesome. Not awesome. Sorry, this game's not awesome. I didn't know that could be altered. So,
Yeah.
so there is one more game mode. I'm kind of blanking on the name. I think it's called Pilot Hunt, and that one I actually thought that was the best one by far because it was, once you get hit, as you can see right there, your pilot like actually jumps out of the ship.
It's ejected. Yeah.
So you can control that pilot after death. And so in the game mode, which should be coming up here pretty soon actually, so we'll have some footage of that up, you can control your pilot after your ship explodes. And if you can avoid the fire from the other player long enough, you will respawn in your ship at full health. So and the AI I found was very dumb about actually finding your pilot. So it was very easy to avoid them and then respawn and then actually like set yourself up, because when you respawn you have a few seconds of invincibility, and at that point it's actually very easy to take your opponent down.
And that sounds like that should be the default game mode of the game
Oh yeah,
to
I
me.
thought it was
Like,
most fun by far.
that sounds like a game mode that would replace something like Team Deathmatch because it creates that extra dimension of interest. Like, that to me is a strong suit of the game. Like, this map right here and that game mode.
Yeah,
There you go.
sell that.
Sell that. Work off of that.
Speaking of selling it, this game comes in at a $5 prize point, and so that's kind of, I guess, a way to justify the purchase of this game, is that $5 is really like the bottom price.
It's really cheap.
It's really the cheapest you can pay for a Steam game. So I think if you have friends that are like willing to come over and play this game with you, maybe it's worth $5.
Right.
I like I said, I don't have that option. I mean, by the time I get home from my classes, people are still in high school. By the time they're home from high school, I have more classes. So
yeah,
it's very inconvenient. Like we've talked about that before. It's very inconvenient to not have multiplayer
any
servers.
kind of online support.
Even if it was just like a peer-to-peer connection to where like I can only play against people in my Steam list. I don't need to like have matchmaking or anything. I just want to be able to play against people in my Steam list. I think I could have actually gotten a lot more entertainment out of this game if I could have played against people I know.
Right. So, I guess we could talk about if there's nothing else to say. I mean, do you have anything else you want to say on it?
I think that just about covers it.
All right. I guess what we could talk about is things the devs could do to improve, like if they were to make this game again, but improve it.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
and
patch
that,
it
I
in the
mean, we
future.
could turn that. Right. One
Things
thing
we'd like to
is,
see changed.
right, content. This game needs way more content. I mean, granted, it's a $5 game. It was developed by 3 people. It works. It's a functioning game. It's definitely a game. But you play it for 5 minutes and you're done. Even with a party, you're not going to be playing it for that long.
Yeah, there's never gonna be like, oh man, I want to play next, or hey, I want to match against this guy to see how he plays. Because once again, if you actually see at the end of games, there's a option called change ships, which when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, there's different ships. This could actually be cool. But that's literally just like changing between player 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there are no actual characters to play as, so to say.
Which, if you added that extra level of depth, just something like that, something that small, that extends the playtime
Oh yeah.
tremendously. And this doesn't need to be a $60 kind of AAA game in terms of its content. It just has to have enough content for someone to want to play more than once. It needs replayability. And if they can expand on that, if they could, the maps, a few of them are pretty good. But that kind of quirkiness, like going back to the black hole. I mean, I love that map because of how interesting it was.
Yeah.
You having to not only fight your opponent, but manage this huge issue in the middle of the map that you can also use to a tactical advantage, like curving your bullet around the black hole and hitting your opponent. I thought that was interesting. That was cool. That was neat. It was fun. It was like, oh wow, this is neat. I was actually really excited at that point, and then afterwards, it kind of fell off.
Yeah, I think if every map had something like had a small quirk like that, to where there's something you could use to gain a tactical advantage, I think even that would have made me enjoy the game more. Like a combination of that and more playable ships. I hate to bring this up again, but we've recently done some coverage on a game called Super Galaxy Squadron X, which is also an indie game, also a space game, which had 14 playable ships, and just that alone gave me so much more playtime out of it, because I'm like, oh, I want to try each of these 14 ships. I want to see how each of these play. I want to see how each of these differ from another. If I could have had, I don't even need 14. If I could have had like 5 different ships, like one's faster, one has more health, one has more damage, any of that would have increased my playtime.
And I had something to say just a moment ago. Another old arcade game that was a thing was, I think it might have been called Tanks. I can't quite remember, but it had a very similar concept to this, only you used tanks instead of spaceships. And that game had replayability.
Yeah.
It was the same general concept, but it replayed. And this was still an older game. So, kind of learn from those things. This game has decent bones, I'll give it that. It has decent bones. But it needs a little more
It needs to be fleshed
content.
out.
It needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. It's not terrible. It's not great. If you want to spend $5 on a 4-player space game that you can play with friends over at your house, and you happen to have gamepads, because once again, there's no way in hell you guys are playing this on the keyboard, don't do it.
I think if this game came out on the Atari, it would have killed.
Oh, it would have been
Because it's
fantastic on the
it's
Atari.
that kind of game. It's that kind of like,
Yeah.
video games are just starting out. Everything's very simplistic kind of
Right.
thing. It's yeah. I think that's really all I have to say. But what about you? Any final thoughts?
I mean, on the note of the simplicity, that's something I can appreciate, but yeah, that's about all there is to say on it.
All right. Well, for a full written review on this game, you can check out our blog at QWERTY. Was it QWERTY Twitch blog or QWERTY podcast blog? Sorry, at .blogspot.com. We will also be doing a much shorter, more to the point video review on this game later on this week on our YouTube channel. For more content, check us out on Twitch at twitch.tv/QWERTY podcast. All of our other links will be there too. And I think it's time for our final score. So we here at QWERTY gave Astro Duel a 2 out of 5. Like we said, the plus, it's a good game. I mean, it's a game that works, and it never crashed on me any times I played it. The map design was good. And yeah, uh, like we said, it needs improvement, but I think we both agreed it has potential.
Definitely. If they could just flesh it out a little bit more, it it'd be worth. It would be definitely worth someone's time. Um, but as of its current state, it's something to be desired.
All right, well that's gonna do it for us. Don't forget to check out our podcast every Saturday night at twitch.tv/QWERTY podcast, which is at 10 p.m. Central Time. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching.